The jazz music from Club Babylon drifted through the foggy Chicago streets on that cold October night in 1924. Detective James Cooper pulled his coat tighter as he approached the elegant building, its golden lights piercing through the mist. Just hours ago, this celebrated speakeasy had been the scene of a gruesome discovery. Inside, the usually vibrant club was eerily quiet. The victim, Eleanor Montgomery, lay sprawled across a private booth in the back, her beaded dress glittering under the dim lights. She had been one of Chicago's most famous flappers, known for her dazzling performances and connection to the city's elite. "What do we have?" Cooper asked Officer Sullivan, who was already at the scene. "Miss Montgomery was found by the cleaning staff at 2 a.m. Cause of death appears to be poisoning. There was an empty champagne glass next to her." Sullivan pointed to the evidence, carefully marked on the table. "We've identified 4 primary suspects who were seen with her throughout the evening." Cooper pulled out his notebook, his experienced eyes scanning the room. "Walk me through the suspects." "First, we have Richard Vail, her former dance partner. Witnesses say they had a heated argument earlier tonight about her replacing him in the upcoming show. Then there's Margaret Watson, a rival performer who lost several major contracts to Eleanor recently. The club owner, Frank Martinez, was seen having a private conversation with her in this booth around midnight. And finally, Thomas Brooks, her fiancé, who recently discovered she was planning to break off their engagement. Cooper began his methodical investigation, interviewing each suspect. Richard Vail's hands shook as he described their argument. "Sure, I was angry about being replaced, but I'd never hurt Eleanor. We had history." Margaret Watson maintained her composure, but her eyes betrayed a deep resentment. "Eleanor had everything handed to her on a silver platter. But murder? That's not my style." Frank Martinez seemed genuinely distressed. "She was my star performer. We were discussing her contract renewal. Why would I kill my biggest attraction?" Thomas Brooks, the fiancé, was found drinking heavily at the bar. "I loved her, despite everything. I just wanted answers about why she was leaving me." As Cooper examined the scene again, a detail caught his eye. Under the table, partially hidden by the booth's velvet curtain, was a small silver compact mirror. Opening it carefully, he noticed something unusual, a faint residue of white powder on its surface. The detective recalled seeing a similar compact in one of the suspect's possession during the interviews. He also remembered a crucial detail from the medical examiner's preliminary report traces of powder on the rim of the champagne glass. Cooper gathered all 4 suspects in the main room of the club. The Art Deco chandeliers cast dramatic shadows across their faces as he began to speak. Miss Montgomery's death was carefully planned, but the killer made one crucial mistake. He pulled out the compact mirror. "This belonged to you, didn't it, Margaret?" Margaret Watson's confident facade cracked slightly. "Many women have similar compacts." "True, but not all of them use them to store poison. You knew Eleanor always borrowed other performers' mirrors to check her makeup before going on stage. You waited until she asked to borrow yours, knowing she would use it near her drink. Powder residue transferred from the mirror to her fingers and then to her champagne glass." Margaret's shoulders slumped. "She was going to ruin me," she whispered. "She wasn't content with taking my spotlight. She was negotiating to take over my contracts at other clubs too. Everything I worked for, gone because of her." As Officer Sullivan led Margaret away in handcuffs, Cooper watched the first rays of dawn breaking through the club's windows. The jazz age kept spinning on, but for one of its brightest stars, the music had stopped forever. The next morning's newspapers would tell the story of jealousy and ambition in the Roaring Twenties, of how Chicago's most promising flapper met her end in a web of rivalry and revenge. Detective Cooper filed his report, knowing that in this glittering, dangerous era, there would always be another case waiting in the shadows of the city's countless speakeasies and jazz clubs.